Hello, welcome back to the reading of the poem of the Man God, written by Maria Valtorta, Volume 1, Chapter 34, Part 1, The Adoration of the Wise Men. 28th February 1944. My internal voice warns me. Call the contemplations you are about to receive, and which I will tell you, quote, the Gospels of Faith, end quote, because they will clarify for you and other people the power of faith and of its fruits, and will confirm you in the faith of God. I see Bethlehem, small and white, gathered like a brood of chickens under the stars. Two main streets divide the town crosswise, one coming from behind the town, and it is the main road that continues on the other side. The other road runs across the town, from one side to the other, but does not proceed further. There are other small streets dividing the town into many sections, without the slightest resemblance to a road scheme as we understand it. The roads are suited to both the ground, which is all gradients, and to the various houses built here and there, according to the vagaries of the ground and the whims of the builder. Some run to the right, others to the left, some at a corner with the road skirting them, which consequently seems a ribbon which unwinds tortuously, instead of being a straight one running from one end to the other without any diversion. Now and again there is a little square serving either for a market or a fountain, or because, owing to the total lack of a building scheme, there is a small piece of sloping ground not suitable for any structure. The place where I seem to be staying appears to be exactly one of those peculiar little squares. It could be a square, or at least rectangular. It is instead so strange a kind of trapezium that it looks like an obtuse angled triangle with a blunted vertex. On the longest side, the base of the triangle, there is a low, wide building, the widest in the village. Outside, there is a smooth, bare, high wall with only two doors, which at present are closed. Inside, instead, in the large square, there are many windows on the first floor. Underneath, instead, there are arcades surrounding yards strewn with straw and rubble, with drinking troughs for horses and other animals. Attached to the rustic pillars, there are rings to which the animals are tied, and on one side there is a large shed to shelter herds and mounts. I realize that it is the Hotel of Bethlehem. On the other two equal sides there are several houses, some large, some small, some with a little orchard, some without, because in some cases the front of the house looks on to the square. In other cases, it is the rear of the house facing the square. On the narrow side, facing the caravanserai, there is only one little house with an outside staircase, which reaches the first floor and leads into its rooms. All the rooms are closed because it is night. There is nobody in the streets, as it is so late. I notice that the night light is increasing. It descends from a sky crowded with stars, which are so beautiful in the eastern sky. They are so bright and large, and seemingly so near, that it is possible to reach them and touch those flowers sparkling in the velvet of the vault of heaven. I raise my eyes to see the source of the increasing light. A star of such unusual size that the moon seems small in comparison is moving forward in the sky of Bethlehem, and all the others seem to vanish and make room for it, as maidservants do when their queen passes by. Its brightness is such that it outshines them all. From the sphere, which looks like a huge pale sapphire lit up internally by a sun, a trail departs, in which blonde topazes, green emeralds, opalescent opals, blood-red flashes of rubies, and gentle sparklings of amethysts mingle with the prevailing pale sapphire. All the stones on earth are in the trail that sweeps the sky with a fast and undulating movement as if it were alive. But the prevailing color is the one emanating from the globe of the star, the heavenly pale sapphire hue which comes down and makes the houses, the streets, the ground of Bethlehem, the Savior's cradle, look like blue silver. It is no longer the poor town, which by our standards is smaller than a country village. It is a fantastic town of a fairy tale, all in silver, and the water of the fountains and of the vessels is liquid diamond. And with a brighter radiation of light, the star stops over the little house on the narrowest side of the square. Neither the people dwelling in it nor the people in Bethlehem see it, because they are all fast asleep in their closed houses. But the star quickens its shining pulsations, and the trail vibrates and wavers faster and faster, drawing a kind of semicircle in the sky. And the sky lights up because of the net of stars drawn by the trail, a net full of precious jewels which shine and color all the other stars with the most graceful hues, as if they were communicating their own joy to them. The little house is transfigured by the liquid fire of gems. The roof of the small terrace, the dark stone steps, the little door, are like a block of pure silver, sprayed with diamond and pearl dust. No royal palace on earth has ever had or ever will have a staircase like this one, built to be used by angels and by a mother who is the mother of God. The little feet of the Immaculate Virgin can alight on that white splendor, the little feet which are destined to rest on the steps of God's throne. But the Virgin does not know. She is awake near her son's cradle and is praying. There are splendors in her soul which outdo the splendor with which the star is decorating material things. From the main road, a cavalcade is approaching. Harnessed horses are led by hand. Dromedaries and camels bear riders or are carrying loads. Their hooves make the sound of water that rustles and breaks against the stones of a torrent. When they reach the square, they all stop. The cavalcade, lit up by the star, is a fantasy of splendor. The harnesses of the most rich mounts, the clothes of the riders, their faces, their baggage, everything shines, and the light of the star increases the splendor of metals, leathers, silks, gems, coats. Eyes are radiant and mouths smiling because another splendor shines in their hearts, the splendor of a supernatural joy. While the servants move towards the caravanserai with the animals, 3 members of the caravan dismount them from their mounts, which a servant takes away at once, and they walk towards the house, and they prostrate themselves, touching the ground with their foreheads to kiss the soil. They are 3 personages of power, as is quite obvious from their very rich attire. One of them, of a very dark complexion, who dismounts from a camel, envelops himself in a sciama, a pure bright silk, held light to his waist by a precious girdle, from which a dagger or a sword hangs with a jewel-studded hilt. Of the other 2 who dismount from 2 splendid horses, one is wearing a beautiful striped robe, the dominant color of which is yellow, fashioned like a long domino with hood and cordon, which looks like a piece of gold filigree, owing to the very rich golden embroidery. The third one is wearing a silk shirt, puffing out of a long, large trousers, narrow at the ankles. He is enveloped in a very fine shawl, which resembles a flowery garden. So bright are the flowers decorating it. On his head he has a turban, held by a little chain, covered with diamond settings. After venerating the house where the Savior is, they rise and go towards the caravanserai, where the servants have knocked and had the door opened. And the vision ends here. It starts again 3 hours later with the scene of the Magi adoring Jesus. This has been a reading from the poem of the Man God written by Maria Valtorta, Volume 1, Chapter 34, Part 1, the Adoration of the Wise Men. Thank you for listening. I'll see you tomorrow. May God bless you, and may peace be with you.